think we have everyone here. Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Year 9 Pathway evening. This is a very important evening for all Year 9 pupils. They'll be choosing subjects that will determine their future over the next 4 years. They may go on to study some of these subjects at sixth form. So tonight is a really important evening for all students. Before I talk any more about the evening, first of all, can I just say thank you very much for all your support. With pupils returning to school on the 8th of March, it felt like a very long holiday or a long weekend. Pupils have come back into school. They've settled in really well. I'm so proud of every single pupil at the academy. They're making really good progress. They're working really hard in lessons. We've been doing some tours of Year 6 parents in very small groups, of course, and respecting our COVID restrictions. And every single family that's been around the Hurlingham Academy been blown away with the manners, with the lessons, with the behavior of all our pupils. So you can be really proud as a parent that your child goes to a school that parents are looking to and are really proud to send their children to. Now, this week, we also had 2 new starters at the Hurlingham Academy. I'm sure your kids have told you about these 2 new starters. So I'm just want to make sure I check the names. On Monday, we had Cottontail and Cookie started with us. We don't quite sure what language they speak at the moment, but they're doing really well. They've settled in. So if you want to know who Cottontail and Cookie are, these are our 2 school rabbits that we've bought. And I have over 50 pupils who have come forward who wants to be a rabbit monitor. So they'll come in the mornings, they'll feed them, and they'll look after them before they go home in the evenings. So we're really excited for these 2 new members who've joined the school. Now, as I said, pupils are doing extremely well, and I'm really pleased, and that's what it's about. We have a lot of work ahead of us. COVID has taken away a lot, but I don't think that we should despair in any way. The teachers, myself, my senior leadership team, we are 100% committed that our Year 9 students are going to get some of the best grades. Miss Robinson is online, Miss Reed is also online, and they've been working incredibly hard with Year 9. I'm going to put down a marker. Miss Robinson told me that Year 9 will have the best grades when they get to Year 11 in the borough. So let's make sure you hold us to account. They're a fantastic year group. I am really pleased. This is the year group I go to their lunchtime. So proud. We don't need to have lunch supervisors. They're so mature in the way they behave, how they respect each other, the way they talk to each other. And you should be really proud as parents that your children do come to school and represent you really well. I'm going to hand over to Miss Quinton, who is going to take us through the pathways. And it's really important you listen to the information. And I know Ms. Quinton will talk a little bit about the different pathways, but not specifically about your children. It's going to give a general overview of the pathways, and we will take questions at the end. Just for parents to know that we are recording the session. So if you do go on camera, you may be recorded. So if you're happy with that, that's absolutely fine. But I do have to make that disclosure that we are going to record it for those parents who are not able to be with us today. So Ms. Quinton, over to you.
Thank you. And let me also just join Mr. Wilson in saying how good it is to have your children back in school. It is lovely seeing them. As Mr. Wilson said, they are a brilliant year group. I too have spent a lot of time looking at their data for this evening, and I'm convinced we're going to get the best set of GCSE results from this year group. I'll be teaching Year 10 geography next year, very excited to see which Year 10 students choose that. But it is great to have them back in school, and I'm really excited to be doing this process and this step up to Key Stage 4 with them. As Mr. Wilson also said, tonight is not the night for individual questions about your child, but just questions in general, purely because there are 136, 37 students in the year group. We just can't do those individual questions tonight. However, towards the end of this, I will tell you who you can ask and get those questions to, because obviously we do want to support you in this process and make sure you know who you can talk to. So what do you need to know? Firstly, tonight and this whole process is no longer called options, because actually the reality is, and you'll have seen in the booklets, there just aren't the choices that there used to be. I know that when I chose my GCSEs, I chose 3 or 4 or 5 different subjects, whereas now the majority of students are literally choosing 1 or 2 subjects. That is it. And the main reason for that is the government changes in the curriculum, the introduction of the EBAC being compulsory. And so there just isn't the choice that there used to be. You also need to know about the national curriculum changes, particularly to grades, and I'll spend just a few minutes on those. Many of you will have children who are older siblings, either in year 10, year 11, or we've gone through the school before. But I just want to make sure that all of you are on board and understand those. You need to know the different pathways to some extent, and also you need to know, well, how do I help my child choose the 1, 2, or 3 choices that they do have? In terms of what your child already knows, year 9 have had pathways explained to them. I've been into their assembly twice since Christmas and just talked through the step up to Key Stage 4, how pathways works, and just getting them to start thinking about what they enjoy, what they don't, where they see their futures, and just starting to put that on the back burner. Heads of department have also been into assemblies and shared their subjects, which has been really helpful, particularly new subjects such as sociology, media, business, which students haven't studied at Key Stage 3. And then also, we've talked to your children about who they can talk to, their form tutors, the heads of department, their subject teachers, all sorts of people around school that they can go and see at break time and lunchtime. Now, in terms of curriculum changes, back in 2016, the government did a whole overhaul of GCSEs and BTECs and the whole educational curriculum, and it was the biggest change since 1987. And essentially, grade boundaries have gone up. So exams, both BTECs and GCSEs, have got harder. The GCSE assessments themselves have got harder. The exams have got harder. The GCSE courses are now all linear, whereas there used to be coursework, or there used to be the option to take a GCSE in year 10. Now they're purely linear with a final exam. There's no more coursework in the GCSEs. There is still in the BTECs. And then there are numbers, not grades, assessing attainment. Many of us, when we were at school, it ranged from A star down to the G. Now it's numbers 9 down to 1. And ultimately, it's much more competitive. It's got harder and it's got more competitive. And so we as teachers have had to adapt not only how we teach, but how we support children. And for myself, how I make sure that children are on the right pathway and the one that suits them and is going to help them get the best results possible. Hope you can see this. Oops, hang on. In terms of the new grade structure, so you can see on the screen the old structure from the A star down to the G. Now we have numbers 9 to 1, and it's a point system. And in some ways, sadly, it's not really used as a point system. It's still used as a grade system, but with numbers. So essentially, your child will take 8 or 9 GCSEs and BTECs, and they're worth points. And so if your child gets 9 grades at grade 9, they've got 81 points. Although it'll be more than that because a couple of the subjects, such as maths, are double weighted. But that's how it works, essentially. You can also see that there's not a direct correlation between an A star and a 9 and 8, or between a C grade and a 5 and a 4. So what was the C grade is now a high 4, low 5. What was an A star is now a very high 8, a low 9. And this is where previously it was very much a criteria-based system where students would get awarded a grade, A star to G, based on the knowledge that they showed, the evidence of criteria. Whereas now it's done on a bell curve where percentages are awarded based on how well students do in that cohort. So for example, to get a grade 9, that student needs to come in the top 3.5, slightly varies, % in the country. So it's much, much harder, much, much more competitive. At the Hurlingham Academy, we very much focus on 5s. A 5 is a good, strong pass. There'll be some students for whom 4s are appropriate, and they will go on to do particular apprenticeships and BTEC courses at sixth form, where actually a 4 is fine in certain subjects, depending on the nature of the course they go on to. But for the majority of students, 95% of students at the Hurlingham Academy, we talk about grade 5s being the strong pass, and that's what we aim for. So what does all this mean in terms of your child in year 9? Firstly, attendance is more crucial than ever. After Easter, in many subjects, students will be starting GCSE curriculums. And so starting to cover the work that they'll be assessed on at the end of year 11. And so they need to be in school. In some ways, Easter of year 9 is a new start and a fresh start for year 9. Because everything's still to played for. Doesn't matter what went on in 7, 8 and the first half of year 9. After Easter, when they start those GCSE courses, it's a new start. They need to be in every day. We shouldn't be making phone calls to say, where is your child? Why is their attendance 78%? Unless there is an authorised medical issue. Homework needs to be completed and it must be of high quality. We need your support in ensuring that your child is doing their homework and doing it to the high quality. No student will get a grade 5 or a merit or a distinction in BTEC courses unless they are doing homework and unless that homework is high quality. And so we do need your support in that. There will be catch up. There will be extra sessions after Easter, particularly in maths and English, to catch up and close gaps. Your children will be sitting exams in the summer of 2023. And so there may well be some catch up going on. And ultimately, our partnership matters more than ever. We need your support. We cannot do what we do with your children in school on our own. We need your support at home. And so our partnership will matter more than ever. As you know, Miss Robinson is running a graduation tracker with year 9. And I went into assembly and I did say to year 9 that not all students will graduate. It happens every year. Some students have to go back and repeat a bit. Some students do end up finding different schools because attendance and attitude and attainment are key. Students need to be ready for Key Stage 4 courses. It is such a big step up. And I am not having, and Mr. Pudney, who's in charge of Key Stage 4, we are not having conversations with students about uniform or appearance in Key Stage 4. We're not doing it. We will spend all the time we have having conversations about their learning, their sixth form applications, their work experience, what they want to go on and do in the future. But we're not having conversations about the rules that are in the parent handbook. We just don't have that time. There are rules for me and my appearance and my staff dress. There are rules for the students. And so we need students to be on board and showing us that they're ready for Key Stage 4, that they want to learn, that they want to do well. You will see as parents, you may have seen already with older siblings, just how hard teachers will work for students in year 10 and year 11. We have teachers every year giving up their Easter holiday, their February half term, their May half term, weekends to come in unpaid to give your children the edge they need to be able to compete with the private schools and the independent schools in this country. And your children are just as bright and academically able, and they have just as good attitudes. They just need to be really willing to work hard and go for it. And so this graduation track is really important in showing us who's ready for that step up to Key Stage 4. So in terms of pathways, there are 3 pathways. And firstly, these after tonight and after next week, these don't matter at all. No student in year 10 or year 11 even talks about what pathway they are on or remembers it. This is purely to make sure that we as a school offer your children the right and appropriate courses based on their academic ability. So we have pathway A, which is the Trilogy Science EBAC. That's the Peach pathway where students will do separate sciences and the EBAC. The EBAC means they're doing science, they're doing English, maths, geography or history, and a language. Pathway B is combined science, where they'll do 2 GCSEs in science, and again, plus the EBAC, Spanish or French as a language. And then pathway C, again, is combined science. Again, there's English, maths, and then they'll do a combination of BTEC and GCSE exams and courses, depending on what they choose. There's a suite of choices available to them. So firstly, as I said, the pathways themselves don't matter. No pathway is better than the other. That's partly why I give them such bad names as the peach, the lemon, the lime pathway. All fruit is good for you. It is about making sure students are offered courses that they will succeed in. The pathways are based on data. It isn't me just randomly allocating students to different pathways. It is based on their science data, their French or Spanish data, their prior Key Stage 2 data if they have it. And so these pathways cannot change. It is not a case of you calling the school and say, please, can my child be on a different pathway? I'm afraid it doesn't work like that. I've never done it. And students do go on to do the courses that they should be doing. All three pathways lead on to sixth form courses and onto university. And I really need you to hear that. We have students who go on to do BTEC level 3 nationals at sixth form, who then go on to university to do degree courses. A lot more of the independent and private schools are investing far more in BTECs now because they've understood the practical nature and value of them. And students are going on to university with those. So it's very important that you understand that all three of these pathways are equally valid in terms of going to sixth form and university. So core subjects, all students, regardless of the pathway, will study English language GCSE, English literature GCSE, maths GCSE, either combined science GCSE, which is 2 GCSEs, or trilogy, which is biology, chemistry, physics 3, and all students will do religion and philosophy GCSE. So these are the basic 6 or 7 GCSEs that all students study. And a lot of those are compulsory as part of the EBAC, which is what I was talking about at the beginning when I talked about how the government has made certain subjects more central and compulsory to a child's education. So we offer GCSEs and BTECs in the same subjects. So we offer PE GCSE and BTEC Sport. We offer Media GCSE and Creative Media BTEC. We offer Business Studies GCSE and Enterprise and Business BTEC. We offer Music GCSE and Music BTEC. They are the same courses. The difference is in how students learn and how they're assessed. So in how they learn, there'll be less extended literacy requirements. There'll be more computer-based work. There's more of a coursework component that students quite enjoy, having the control over that. And then the final assessments are more short question based. There'll also be assessments broken into year 10 and year 11 as well, which helps. Students who do BTECs as well as their GCSE subjects have the option of going on to more vocational apprenticeships, if that's their preference, or going into academic learning at sixth form and university. So we do make sure as much as we can that we offer the BTEC and the GCSE so that we can cater for all student abilities and student styles in terms of learning. So these are the choices. You can see the 3 pathway choices here on the slide that supplement the core learning. So the peach and the lemon are at the top here. They're the same. Students will tick 1 option from box 1 and 1 option from box 2. So students in peach and lemon pathway are essentially choosing 2 choices. They've already made, the choice of French or Spanish. So that choice has already been made in terms of their language. They'll then be choosing between geography and history, and then the second choice from the open box there. Students on the line pathway actually have more choice. They get to choose 3 choices, 1 from each of the columns that you can see on the screen there. Now, excuse me if it's obvious. Last year, partly due to closures, we did get some interesting forms back. I got 1 form back where a student on the line pathway had ticked Business BTEC 6 times, which is good because it showed she really wanted to do Business BTEC. But I really need to, I need 3 choices and I need to see a backup as well. So what you have in the booklet is you'll have your first choice in the first table, and then there'll be a duplicate table where I need a backup choice. And all you need to do is tick 1 choice from each column. So I've done this one, and my first choice in the line pathway would be to do Art GCSE, Business BTEC, and then Creative Media BTEC. Those are my first top 3 choices of GCSE and BTEC. My second choice would be, if for some reason those don't work out, my second choice would be Sport BTEC, Music BTEC, and Drama GCSE. We need the backups because, I'll explain this here. Actually, I'll come. Okay, because courses will only run if enough students choose it. I need at least 10 to 12 students in a course for it to be viable to run. It's public money. There is a limit on how small a class can be for it to be financially viable. So if only 4 or 5 students choose, let's say, sociology, I can't run sociology that year. So that's why I need a backup. Also, courses will only run if we have qualified staff to run it. There are some subjects like sociology, maybe like drama, that are quite niche. And so I don't know who's staying with us next year in terms of staff. I don't know who might be moving on. But if our one qualified sociology teacher leaves us, I can't run that course. So last year, I think out of a cohort of around 100, 110, I think 4 or 5 students had to choose a second choice. That is it. We really do work hard to make sure students get their first choice, because that's where they're happiest and that's where they're going to learn best. So we do all that we can to make sure students get their first choice, but we do need you to pick a second choice. Please don't just fill out a first as though, no, doesn't want to do anything else. You have to, and I don't want to have to allocate students to a course because no second choice was given. So please make sure you complete different second choices to your first choice, and do please make sure that you have a second choice. If you have a question, do please put it in the chat, or we'll do sort of general questions at the end. Thank you. Now, if your child has a home language that they can speak, read or write, and that's not being offered to them in their pathway like French and Spanish are, then they will have the opportunity to do that at GCSE. We do offer to support students in that, not in terms of lessons or tutoring, but just in terms of giving them exam papers so they can practice. But we will enter your child for that home language so that they can have that little edge and get an extra GCSE should they want to. Now, sadly, Ofqual don't offer home language exams in every language there is. I've put the majority of them on the screen here. So everything from Urdu to Mandarin, Cantonese, Persian, Turkish, Russian, Japanese, German. There's a good range. Now, they do change year to year, but hopefully for the year that your children do their exams, all of these will be available. But that's something else that I've asked for on the form. So please do, unless your child is in the peach and lemon pathway doing French and Spanish, do please let me know what home language they do. If your child is doing French or Spanish in school anyway, but they can speak another home language, please do let us know, because we do want to give children that opportunity to take an extra home language. So how do I choose? Again, I've put this into the booklet. Please do talk through the choices with your child. Do please ensure that they're choosing it because they like the subject and not the teacher. Teachers do change at Key Stage 4. The teacher they've had this year, who they may find they really enjoy and really like, they may not have them in year 10. Also, please ensure they don't choose a subject just because their friends are choosing it. They need to choose it because they enjoy that subject and they really want to do well in it. Maybe they do not need to know what they want to go on to do at sixth form or as a career. Just encourage them to choose as open subjects as they want. The biggest thing is that they choose the subjects they enjoy, because those will be the ones that they do best in. So what do you do now? Firstly, do discuss the choices with your child, and then you'll see that in your pack there is the coloured form that needs to be returned to myself or Miss Robinson, only myself or Miss Robinson, by a week today, so Wednesday, March the 31st. And please do not let your child give it to the tutor. I do not want these forms getting lost, so please make sure they either come into myself, I'm on the playground most mornings, or to Miss Robinson, who will pass them on to me. But it's really important that these come in by the 31st. Now, who can you talk to if you would like to phone up and have a conversation about your child and what's on offer? There are people that you can talk to. Firstly, Miss Robinson, she's the head of Year 9, as you know, and she knows your children the best. So if you've got any question about your child and the courses that are on offer and what's suited to them, please do just call Miss Robinson at any point over the next week, and she will very happy to discuss those with you. Miss Reed Nelson as well, our assistant principal for Key Stage 3, would love to support you if she can, talking through your child's options. Miss Robinson teaches maths, Miss Reed Nelson teaches PE and Sport BTEC, both very, very good teachers, and would love to chat through any issues about your individual child with you. If your child has any additional needs, maybe an education and health care plan, maybe some SEN needs, do speak to Miss Francis or Miss Bryan. Again, they would love to help you and talk those things through you. They will work very closely with your child, will understand their needs and maybe which courses are best suited to your child's additional needs. Miss Keane is our English as an additional language lead. She has a Year 9 tutor group with some of our newer admissions who are still gaining competency and fluency in English. If you have any questions about your child who does have English as an additional language and what courses might suit them, please do contact Miss Keane. Again, she would love to support your child in those decisions. Any questions about what these courses are like at Key Stage 4 or what the day-to-day running and life of Key Stage 4 is like for students? Mr. Pudney is in charge of Key Stage 4 and oversees Year 10 and 11. So any questions about the Key Stage 4 curriculum, please do talk to Mr. Pudney. I put up here are results from 2019. So obviously last year were central assessment grades. They were prediction based. But these exam results from 2019 were the last properly assessed exam based results. And we're thrilled. So many amazing results. All of them well above some of them national average, which isn't particularly high, but some fantastic results at 5+ and 7+. And I meant it at the beginning when I said, having looked at your children's data, getting to know them a bit over the last few weeks, I'm really excited about just how well they are going to do at GCSE. And this is a combination not just of the students that we work with and how great our students are, but also just how hard our teachers work. I don't think I've ever worked in a school where teachers will work so hard and give up of their time and energy so sacrificially to help students get the best education they can. And it's partly because we understand that children have one education. We all have one chance of getting an education. And the better it is, the more options and choices they have, the better their pathways on through sixth form, through apprenticeships, universities, careers will be for them. So some fantastic results there. And I show you those to show you just to have confidence in what we do at Key Stage 4. Now, as I said at the beginning, the heads of department have been into assemblies and have shared quite a bit about their subjects with your children in terms of what the course content is, so what your children will study, how they're assessed, what a day-to-day lesson looks like, what careers those subjects might lead on to. But we understand that you as parents have not been able to see that. And usually when we have Pathways evening in school, we have all the heads of department there and parents can chat to those subject leaders. However, obviously remote with closures and social distancing, we can't do that. And so what they've done is I've asked them to make videos about their courses and to present a little bit about the content, the assessment criteria, the pathways on, future pathways. And these are on the school website. And they're just 3 or 4 minutes long, and they just explain each course. So please do watch those. You can find them if you go to the school website. Along the top here, you go to curriculum, and then you just scroll down to Year 9 options. It's actually very easy to find. Mr. Wilson told me this afternoon it was difficult. I literally logged onto the website, hit curriculum, scroll down. So please do have a look at those. We also sell in-school revision guides for most of the subjects. They range in price. We sell them obviously at discount wholesale price. I know that some of the geography and history ones are £3. There's a very big, thick science one that's £10. Maths are at £6. Spanish, English are £5. So we do have those. I can write a receipt for your child. So do let me know if you want those. They are for the right exam board for the courses that your children will be taking. And we sell those now because, as I said, after Easter, your children will be taking up many of their courses. Not all of them, but some of them will be starting. So that is it in terms of pathways. You have the packs to read through. You have the websites with all the videos on. You have a week to just fill out the form and bring that back to me. It will be a case of first come, first served. So please do get those forms in by the 31st. I can't guarantee first choices to students who give their forms in late because some courses will fill up. So please do make sure that those come in on time. As I said, I'm going to put back up on the screen people that you can talk to if you've got questions about your individual child's pathways, but any question about the curriculum as a whole or the transition into Key Stage 4, we can take some questions now. Thank you, Mr. Wilson.
Thanks, Ms. Quinton. I think that was really clear. We have some questions that I'll just put to you. I think we have a question from a parent who've asked us, what happens if the teacher leaves in the middle of the course? I could take that one if you want. Teachers
Yep.
normally have to give us almost half a term's notice of when they're leaving. So if we were to lose a teacher for a course that we've started, we will definitely make sure we replace that teacher with someone equally as strong to make sure those pupils don't miss out. Let's go to Zoe. I think Zoe has her hand up, Ms. Quinton. So Zoe, if you want to unmute and ask your question to Ms. Quinton.
Hi, Zoe.
You're still on mute?
No, it's Chloe.
Chloe, sorry. Chloe in year 9. So go ahead, Chloe.
Hi, sir. Could you show us the music results, please?
The music
GCSE results in 2019.
Let me have a look. Whoops, wrong way. So I don't know if we ran the music in 2019. Let me have a look. No, we didn't run it in 2019. We ran it in 2020, and this year we have a music BTEC and a music GCSE. So it all depends on uptake and how many students choose a subject for us to be able to run it. So for example, one year we've run sociology, the next year we haven't. This year we're hoping to run it again. So we ran it in 2018, we didn't run it in 2020, we're hoping to run it this year. So it does very much depend on how many students choose that course for us to be able to run it. And we do set quite a low minimum, usually around 10 to 12.
Great. Narina, if you want to unmute and ask your question.
Hi, Mr. Wilson. Yes, I've got two questions actually. The first one is, how many students did you have in 2019 compared to this year's cohort for 2023? I forgot what my second question was. Okay, yeah, just that question.
Okay, so in 2019 we had around 105 students. It was just around the 100 mark. At the minute in year 9 we have 136, 37. So that's the difference. There are pros and cons in terms of, for myself, running Key Stage 4, getting students through the exams. When you have fewer, each student counts as a larger percentage. And so it can be harder, but then sometimes when you have a smaller cohort, you have fewer to look after. So there are swings and roundabouts in terms of numbers for us as a school. More the better in my mind.
Thanks, Ms. Quinton. And can I just point out that most schools in the borough do not publish their 5+ results. We do not talk to our pupils at the Hurlingham about achieving grade 4. Our expectations are much higher. So when you look at a lot of schools within the borough, these results are fantastic in my opinion compared to a lot of the highly selective schools around us. So we have more pupils coming through. Each year group is getting bigger and bigger. We think that the year 7s coming in next year will be over 150. So we've been oversubscribed for the first time. And I think the results is part of the factor, but I think also the culture that we've created.
This year, sir, was the year, Mr. Wilson, that we were the highest non-selecting co-ed school in the borough, 2019.
Yeah. We had someone with another question, but I think the hand have gone down. If you would like to ask Ms. Quinton any questions or myself, please just raise your hand, or if you want to unmute. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I have a question. Can a student do, sorry, hello, Mr. Wilson. Can a student do 10 subjects?
Miss Quinton?
So they may end up doing 10 if they're doing triple science plus they have a home language. They do not need to do 10. So we basically run 8, 9 subjects, which is what they need. We find if they do too many, it's too much of a focus. These exams have got harder. The courses have got heavier in terms of the amount of content. Too many isn't actually great for them. Because they're actually starting a process where they go into sixth form and then university if they go, where these are narrowing down. So actually too many to begin with isn't helpful. They may end up doing 10 if they have a home language and they're doing triple science, but otherwise they end up with around 8 or 9 GCSEs, which is perfect.
And just 2 quick follow-up questions. English literature is a separate subject, counts as a separate subject.
Yes. Yeah, very, very different. And they're taught by obviously the same teachers, but they're taught very much as separate subjects. So English literature will be more of the texts, such as Macbeth and Inspector Calls. They'll do the poetry, World War I poetry, unseen poetry. They'll do Jekyll and Hyde, whereas English language is much more creative writing and response to sources, texts, and images.
And the final bit is that RE, which you say is compulsory, and if so, why is it compulsory? And it's counted as a full subject, not half subject.
Yes, so religion and philosophy, it's counted as a full subject, it's a full GCSE, and it's very good for one, cohesion in our school, and secondly, just understanding and living in the society we live in.
But why is it compulsory? Sorry to interrupt.
It's compulsory because we've considered it of really good value for our students. They enjoy it, they do well in it, and actually we think it's important for them to enter this world that's so different and diverse in belief and thought and views that actually gives them really important skills for that. So we've made it compulsory.
Okay.
Thanks very much, Ms. Quinton. And just to follow up, we are, United Learning is also a Church of England trust. That's how it started. And as Ms. Quinton said, it's really, really important. When you come to the Hurlingham Academy, believe me, the sense of community that parents see, they're absolutely blown away every time. Kids from all different backgrounds, all different culture. And I can tell you now that I've worked in a number of schools and I go and visit schools within United Learning. You do not see that. You do not see that in schools in London, where you come in, you see pupils from all different countries getting on, working really well. I've been in schools where you see segregation, different groups of kids in the playground. We don't have that. And I think RE does play a part in pupils understanding each other. If I just go on to Rihanna. Rihanna, if you want to unmute and ask your question.
Good afternoon, Mr. Wilson and Ms. Quinton. I would like to ask if the different pathways determine what job you'll get when you're older.
No, not at all. It's a really good question, Rihanna. No, not at all. They're very open, and there are courses that you can do at sixth form that you don't even need to have done a GCSE or BTEC in them. They don't close anything off, and I think I was hopefully quite clear about that at the beginning. All of them lead on to sixth form. All of them can lead on to university. Nothing's closed off at this point. It's more about making sure that you're doing subjects where we want the students to achieve and do well, and they're appropriate for them. The last thing I want to do is put students on courses where I'm setting them up to fail. So no, nothing's closed off in terms of careers at all.
Thank you very much, Ms. Quinton. Moses, if you want to unmute.
A good evening. I think the diversity at the Hurlingham is very clear. You can see it. Even the first day I got there, I saw that. So, are you hearing me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yep.
My daughters are here, fit in favor in year 9. And the first question is the code subject on the pathway. You're going to select all, right? That's one. And the second one, they want to know whether what you were trying to say. Okay, are you going to select the option subjects based on availability of teachers or the number of students that will sign onto them?
So your children choose the options they want to do.
Yeah.
Our job is to make those subjects as best as we can run. So if there's a subject that out of 137 students, only 3 of them choose, I can't run a subject with only 3 students, but this is very rare. Like I said, last year, I think maybe 5 or 6 students didn't get their first choice. They got their second choice and they're happy as anything. We do our best to make all the option blocks work so that your children do get their first choice of option subjects, because that's in our best interest, because if they're happy, they learn best. So we really do make that work.
Okay, the code modules. Are we going to select all on the pathway? Okay, the core subjects.
Yes, so those core subjects, I'll put it back, all students do those. That is the baseline, the basic starting point for all 136, 37 students. So all students will study those.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you. Anas, if you want to unmute and ask your question.
Hi, Mr. Wilson. Hi, Ms. Quinton. Just
Hiya.
regarding the universities on the list here, are these only universities are selected for this group year, or is it something else more widely ranged?
Are you talking about the universities I put as examples in the booklet?
Yes, regarding the top Russell Group universities.
Yes, so I put those as examples of top Russell Group universities that our students should be aiming for and should be thinking about. I think for many of our students, the thought of leaving London and going to some of these top Russell Group universities is quite daunting. You hear a lot on the news about student loans and student debt. And so it is quite a big step for our students to start thinking, I'm going to go to Durham, or I'm going to go to Oxford, or I'm going to go to Birmingham or Nottingham or Bristol. But that's what we want our students to really start thinking about. And as soon as we can, once restrictions are lifted, Mr. Pudney is going to do a lot of work on getting our year 10s and year 11s into universities to visit them for the day and to see what they're like. But they're there, I put them in the booklets to start students thinking about, where am I headed? Am I thinking big enough? Am I thinking high enough? Because we want to raise aspiration. We want our students, and I said this in year 9 assembly, I don't care, your background, I don't care whatever, you all should be thinking big and aiming high, because you've got everything ahead of you and you work hard and you see where it takes you. But it's about raising aspiration and really thinking, where could I go?
Thank you, Ms. Quinton. And we must say we have a few of our pupils who've left us a few years ago, who have gone into Cambridge.
Yep.
And I've always said to parents that coming to the Hurlingham Academy doesn't, we are not going to lower expectations for our pupils. We want them to compete with the best. So if the best pupils are in Oxbridge, that's where our pupils are going to be going, and they will be able to compete with those students. So if I go to, is it Mansour, if you would like to unmute? Mansour in year 9 in 9U, if you want to unmute. Right, we'll go to Cecile then. Cecile, if you want to unmute and ask your question.
Hi, good evening, Mr. Wilson, Ms. Quinton. Hi.
Good evening.
I've got a question in regards to language. Is it possible for students to attend the exam for, I speak for my daughter, Spanish and French at the end of year 10?
Yes, so if exams are running as usual, we will very much enter students where we can for the end of year 10 if we're allowed to. But yeah, we very much want to encourage students, if they have a home language that they can read and write and speak, then let's get that extra grade, because for the majority for whom it's a natural language, it's a very easy exam. So if we're allowed to and it's available, we will put them in at the end of year 10, if not year 11.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that, Ms. Quinton, that the government has moved from to blocking schools from having early entry. And the reason behind that was lots of schools, not us, we don't do early entry. We're using it really to game the system. So pupils were put in at year 10, they would get a grade 7, but actually if they'd waited another year, they would have gotten a grade 9. pupils were put in sometime getting grade 5s, but actually if you waited another year, they would have gotten a grade 7. So we will only, if we're allowed to put in pupils in year 10, only if they're going to get a grade 9. So if they're not going to get a grade 9, they have to wait until year 11.
Yeah, only if we're allowed.
Yeah. Mahad, if you want to unmute and ask your question.
So do you know how for the first choice and the second options, so if he picks 3 from the first choice and then 3 from the second choice, doesn't that mean he's picked all of them?
What pathway is this?
The line one.
Okay, so you're picking, if you're in the line pathway, you're picking 1 from the first column, 1 from the second column, 1 from the third column. So you're ending up with the 3 subjects you most want to do. Here, I've got it on the screen. So for my first choice, it was art, business, and creative media.
Yeah, I understand that, but then do you know how for the second option you have to pick another 3?
Yeah.
So wouldn't that mean that he picked all of the subjects then, because he has to pick his backup ones as well?
Yeah, quite possibly, but the chances of him getting his first 3 choices are very high. So it's just worst case scenario. It's just so that there's something in case. But as I said, last year, 97% of students got their first choice across the board. It's just for backup.
All right, thank you.
No worries.
If I go to Neve, I think Neve, you're back again.
Hi, sir.
Hello.
I just wanted to ask, what kind of subjects do you have to do at GCSE for you to be able to do at A level?
So there are a lot of subjects that you do need to do at GCSE to do at A level, such as English, maths, geography often. But then there are subjects that if you don't do at GCSE, you can do at A level. So history is an example that you don't have to do at GCSE, that you can do at A level. Things like sociology, you can do at A level. Psychology at A level, you don't need to have done at GCSE. Photography, you can do at A level. Media studies, you can do at A level without having done GCSE. So it very much depends, and that's a conversation that we can have. You can have with myself or Miss Robinson. If you let us know, you could be on mute. If you could let us know what you want to do, we can have that chat with you, because it's a little bit tricky, because there are some subjects you can do at A level without having done GCSE, whereas there are others you can't. So just chat to Miss Robinson or myself.
Thank you, Miss
Okay,
Quinton.
thank you, madam.
Thank you.
We had Sylvia. I don't know if Sylvia, you've changed your mind, but I'll go to you. No? Muna, you may have a question. If you unmute.
Hi.
Hello.
I was just wanted to ask, is it possible to change pathways, or do you have to stick to the same pathway that you're given?
Yeah, no, you have to stick to the same pathway you've been given. And I said at the beginning, it's not about me just putting people in random pathways. It's very much based on the science data, the modern foreign languages data, and then any prior data. So it's about getting students on the right pathway. But no pathway is better than the other. They all lead on to university. They all lead on to sixth form. It is about students being on the right pathway that's appropriate to them.
Okay, thank you. And also, you see for the line pathway, how many subjects can you choose? Is it 2 or 3?
So it's 3. So it's 1 from each column. So there are 3 columns and you're picking 3. The line pathway, actually, you get the most choices, but you're picking 3, 1 from each column.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Anis, you want to unmute and ask your question?
Good afternoon, sir, madam. I just have a question. Can I ask it really quickly?
Sure.
Please do.
You see, for when you choose your options for your first ones, how will it be first come, first serve for like the first subject, your first option that you want to choose, or is it like for like results or something that chooses you if you can choose your pathway, your subject?
Sorry, Anis, really good question. We really make sure we let students do what they want. No class is going to be too full if you get your form in on time. So if you really want to do business, history, and media, it's my job to make it as possible as I can for you to do business, history and media. So do not worry, just get your form in, choose the subjects you most want to do, and then my job is to make that happen.
Thank you, madam and sir. Have a good evening.
You too, Ernest.
Neve, another question? If you want to unmute. No. We have is this Tunji or Mona? Yep.
Talk.
Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Who's it? Not me.
Talk. They can hear you.
Am I talking to your phone now? Hi, sorry. Sorry about that. We're having a few glitching problems here. Yes. I'd like to know how the subjects will be graded if...
Can hardly hear you. Getting really bad feedback.
Can you hear me now?
A little bit better. Yes, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Oh.
Yes, I can.
Okay, yeah. Just talk.
Yep, go ahead.
I need to hear myself.
Yeah, just ask.
Go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great, good. Sorry, we're having some technical issues here.
Okay.
I'm just wondering how the subjects are graded if exams aren't offered, i.e. like this year in COVID. And I know you didn't actually release the exam results for this year here, but would it be possible to see those and how they, it's just to get some sort of idea of what might happen 2 years down the line. I know we're a long way from that, but even so.
Yeah, sure. So our results in 2020 were a little bit better than the year before. We worked really hard to make sure the grades that we submitted were in line with previous years. We were not there to game it and to, bump everything up by 10% because we'd get found out the next year we go back to exams. And so actually what we sent off to Ofqual was really very much in line with previous years. We weren't sampled as a result. And in fact, Ofqual actually bumped up a few English grades, a few maths grades. So results were brilliant and I'd love to publish them, but people would say, well, they're just predicted grades. You didn't get them. And so often there's more credibility had in the final year of actual exams. So that's why I used 2019, not because they were better, but because you can't sort of say, well, teachers didn't just make those up. These were actually awarded. This year, we are looking at, again, in line, hopefully in the low 60s, 5%, low 80s, 4%, 4 plus, sorry. So low 60s, 5 plus, low 80s, 4 plus, which is fantastic, but it's in line with what we would have got anyway. Our first set of mock results were brilliant. So I'd hope for year 9, again, I'd be wanting sort of 65% 5 plus, 85 to 90% 4 plus. We just have to keep pushing and pushing and pushing because the better the grades our students leave us with, the more choices they have. We're not an exam factory. We care very much about our students, but we understand that they've got to compete. They've got to compete with all these private schools and independent schools, and our students are just as bright. But it's about us really helping them to have confidence that they can do it. So that's why I didn't use 2020, just because some people say, well, teachers just made those up. That's why I used the 2019, not because they were better. 2020 were a little bit better. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and Ms. Quinton, I'll just add to that as well, that, when we talk about 60% 5 plus and 85% 4 plus, those grades are putting us in the top, 5% of schools right across the country. Those are comparable with the best schools in Hammersmith and Fulham. So of course we want more, and we'll be pushing our year 9s, but we're also looking at the 7 plus as well. And a lot of schools, I'm not one of those head teachers who are going to publish grades from last year to say, best ever results. That's not how I operate. And I won't publish the results again on our website for this year. I know the pupils will do really well. They'll leave with the grades they deserve. But we know that the year 10s next year, we have to make sure we keep pushing. And if you think nationally, 5 plus nationally is about 32%. We are predicting and we're expecting this year group to get somewhere, Ms. Quinton, say between 65, 70%. So you can see the difference in terms of in terms of expectation for our pupils at the Hurlingham and what's happening nationally.
Yeah.
We have Francesca with a question, if you want to unmute.
Yes, good evening, everybody. Thanks for giving me space. I just wanted to ask why geography and history are not an option on the line pathway, please.
Yeah, good question. Basically, how they're now assessed and the content has got far harder. The literacy requirements for those two subjects are much, much harder than they used to be. And students who are typically in the line pathway struggle. And what happens is, and this has been happening even this year, I'm having to do this, students have chosen geography, history from the line pathway, have really struggled with the amount of literacy, the amount of extended writing, the essay writing. And I've had to take them out, change them onto a BTEC, and they've just flourished as a result of being put onto a BTEC. They've much preferred it. And so I don't want to do that at the end of year 10. It's much better that we get it right at the beginning of year 10 in year 9. But students they really struggle with the requirements in terms of the amount of literacy, the essay writing, and then the final exams are just much more rigorous than they used to be.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Quinton. Anas, I don't know if you have another question.
Good afternoon, sir. Sorry again. I was
That's
going to ask, see how revision guides are on sale. Are they per like each specific subject, like history and business? They own get their own like revision books.
Yes. Revision books for nearly all subjects. So just come and see me and I can give them to you and then you can bring me in the money, whatever you want.
Sorry, what are the cost of like one for history and one for business?
The business ones, I believe, are £5. The history ones, there are 4 for the whole course. They're £3 each.
Okay, thank you very much.
Do we have a final question, Mr. Wilson? Final few?
Yeah, final few questions. Which so it was asking about the criteria assignment. I think you answered that question in terms of the data that we have on pupils. That's how the pathways were assigned to pupils. So that's what our question in the chat. Eduardo, if you want to ask your question.
Hi, actually, it's Richard with Eduardo. If I could just ask, is there a reason why, or is the school planning? Was the school planning to do IT as part of the line pathway? Because it seems to be quite an obvious subject that would fit within that category.
Yes,
go for it,
that's something that we're looking at. I think what the difference is the IT is finding we're not a really big school, and I'm going to be totally honest with you. So employing an IT teacher will only have 6 periods at the Hurlingham Academy because we'd only do IT in year 10 and year 11. Now, if we were to introduce it in Key Stage 3, we would have to think about possibly extending the school day because we would have to cut something in order to include it. There is a big difference also between IT and computing. The IT specification is different to computing specification, but it's something that we're looking at, and getting the right teacher is far more important than just having the subject. So I want to have subjects in the option block that I'm confident that I can employ the right teachers who will ensure that pupils are successful on those courses. So it is something that we probably will look at in the future, but for September, it wasn't an option to be able to bring someone in to be able to offer computing or IT for September 2021.
We are looking, though, Mr. Wilson, at getting some experts, professionals in IT and coding in to work with the students as part of clubs and PSHE, and just giving students that experience that way.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I think we have one last question here, Ms. Quinton, from Rihanna. I think, Rihanna, you have another question? No? I think that's
we
it.
Have one final.
Yes, go ahead.
Final.
Hi, madam. Hi, sir. I was just wondering if you could clarify how our data determines which pathway we're in.
So looking at your past data in science and in MFL, talking to science teachers talking to the MFL teachers, so Miss Cabot, Dr. Deng, Miss Wong, and then looking at your Key Stage 2 data as well helps me work out what courses, what subjects you can access. So if Miss Cabot thinks, do you know what, this student will really cope well with Spanish, then we offer Spanish. If actually there might be a home language or the language just isn't really beneficial, then we won't offer it. It's about making sure you're on the right courses and we're not putting you on a course and setting you up to fail. But that's how we use the data. I talk to the teachers, I look at the past assessment data, I look at your Key Stage 2 data if you've got it, and work it out that way.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
One final question from Neve. Neve, are you coming back again with the final question?
Yes, I wanted to ask, how will sets work for subjects such as like media, sociology, business, etc. once we've all chosen what subjects we want to do?
Yep, that's a good question. So English, math, science, RE will be set as usual, as in sets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Option subjects such as media and business, they're more mixed ability. So there's no setting in those subjects because they don't need to be. So you'll be in a class with students from H, from R, from L, from U, and very much mixed ability. Okay.
Yeah, and if we have, for example, Ms. Quinton in geography, 2 groups, if they're in the same option block, sometimes Ms. Quinton would probably look at streaming those, but you may have 1 media studies class rather than 2. I'm going to take one final question, Undrum.
Hello, sir. If you think triple science is going to be like a bit much for you, like, are you able to like go down to like combined science, or is that like not possible?
So that's a question to go and talk to Miss Quinton and Miss Reed and Miss Robinson. We don't recommend it because based on your data, that's what the data is telling us that you should be doing. We are confident that you can do it. We wouldn't put, Miss Quinton would not put you in a pathway that you wouldn't be able to manage. But have a conversation with Miss Quinton tomorrow in school, and then we'll be able to just take it from there.
I think what I'd say is I love all these questions. If you've got a question and you're in year 9, please come find me. I'm around school. I'll be on duty, break time, lunchtime. Please just come find me, come chat to me. Again, Miss Robinson, Miss Reed Nelson, Miss Keane, Miss Bryan, Miss Francis, we'd all love to help and support. So please, please, these are great questions. Come find me tomorrow. I'd love to help.
Right, so we're going to finish because we've gone over slightly, but I just wonder whether Miss Robinson, you want to have a final word, seeing that we have so many year 9 parents here, just to say how they're doing.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for listening and engaging with this so much today. I'm really, really excited about this year. I honestly believe they are going to come out with some fantastic results. I get the pleasure of going into their lessons all the time and seeing them working so hard, hearing amazing feedback from their teachers. And I really do believe they are going to come out with some fantastic results. Please don't worry massively about the pathways. Worry more about picking the subjects now from those pathways that are right for you. And if you do have any questions, please do come and see me, or for parents, drop me an email, and I will help in any way that I can.
Thank you very much, madam. And just to finish off, thank you very much, Ms. Quinton. Thank you very much, parents, for attending today. We really appreciate it, but pupils will have more time to ask questions over the next few days. Thank you very much. Have a great evening. Goodbye.